Gonna wing it.
First words of the live. Wing it.
Yes.
Welcome.
Yeah,
It's about
that's
right,
not
yeah.
where we'll go from here, man.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our live author D&D session. I'm Jack Fields, author of the upcoming debut Scarlet Citadel with Legion Publishers, and these fabulous panelists are our D&D players. We've got two games today. We've got one right now, and we've got one coming up later at... Jez, back me up on this. What time is that at?
Later.
Okay, we will get that and we will let you know.
It's 8 o'clock our time, so I think it's another 4 hours
It's
time from now. So 4 hours from right now.
3 p.m. EDT.
Yeah, 3:05 EDT, and that's going to be part two. So let's go around and introduce. Let's introduce the people first. You authors, what are you working on at the moment, and where can people find you? Let's start with Brian.
I'm on Amazon.com as Brian J. Norton. I've recently released Quest Academy Silvers, which is book one in the Quest Academy series. It's done really, really well. I'm very, very happy with the support. Thank you all so very, very much. Book two is coming. It has gone in. Final edits are being done and just final polishes as I'm currently working on book three. And yeah, just you can find it on Amazon if you haven't given it a shot. Audiobook is also out. Came out on the 5th of September. Daniel Wisniewski and Rebecca Woods, they absolutely played a blinder. Really, really good.
Absolutely fantastic. Let's go to Michael.
Well, my name is Michael Head. I'm the author of the Threads of Fate series, as well as the Wandering Warrior series. Had to remember the name of my own book series there. Yeah, that's
This
right.
is sober.
Yes, I am totally sober. Yeah, I'm on Amazon as well. I'm also on Audible, and you can find me on michaelheadauthor.com. It's my website. You can. There's also merch links on there as well. I'm an author through Mountaindale Press as well as Legion. A couple of really awesome publishers, and they're going to be super fun.
Hell yes. Let's go to Lars.
Lars Mackmuller. That's how you pronounce it, more or less. If you can't spell my name, you just type that Danish bastard, dragon, bard, lit RPG, drunk. You'll find me. No problem whatsoever. I write about dragons. I write about bards. I write about murders and like long walks on the beach. That's about it.
Jez, can you top that?
No, I mean, Lars is a legend all of his own, but I will stress to everybody, and it's very, very important you remember this, Lars is Swedish. Don't insult him by calling him Denmark or a Dane. It's very important. Never mix those two up because it really does upset him. Just don't get that wrong. It's a very important detail. Hi, everybody. I'm Jez. Jez Caggio, for those who can pronounce it and those who can't. Don't worry about it. It took me ages to learn as well. I only managed it a couple of weeks ago. My latest release is Arise 3 Reclaimer. I've got Devourer going through edits at the moment, and I haven't got a clue what the next one's going to be called yet, but it's definitely going to be called something because that does help when you try to sell a book. I'm one of the directors of Legion Publishing. I'm probably fucked up in all sorts of interesting and unusual ways, but I try not to be in public. You know how it is. Occasionally people point to me and say, you're a pervert. And I say, yes, thank you for noticing.
That's fair.
Kev, take us home.
I am Ezekiel Shallowtomb, great grandfather of a fantastic author named Kevin Sinclair. He brings great honour to my line. You may recognize him from such books as Creation's Being, Condition Evolution,
and Palpatine.
The Rise of Osh.
And somehow Palpatine.
You can find him at
Palpatine's cousin has invaded the chat.
And of course, Osh Bob. So thank you all so much. Just to note for anyone watching live and commenting, we aren't going to be displaying comments just to keep the game progressing as fast as possible. However, I will make note of certain comments. I'll call them out, and if you comment, it actually contributes a dice roll to the game that will come up in both part 1 and part 2 as people comment, and you'll see how.
We can already see some of them have been shit. I'm not saying any names. Thank you, Jimmy.
We shall see the effects of those as we go through the game itself. For now, let me take you through the opening of this game. My friends, this is not a ghost story. It features some, sure. They rear their heads, in a manner of speaking. Really, this is a story about a small Danish town tucked into the cool, comfortable elbow of the state of New York, which itself is tucked under October's ever-changing blanket. Watch the woods ripen yellow and orange and dusky brown. Hear the rustle in those leaves, shivering with autumn's mellow respiration. Smell the clean creek water whimpering in its bed of stones. Hear the hoot of tern-neck owls and the croaking toads, harbingers of winter storms, just round the bend, but not yet. Not yet. The town, this place, this dozy, drowsy hamlet of happy Dutch settlers in the new world of America, is the sleepiest place anyone could hope to find, or even dream of, or so it seems. But now we slip through the tangled cottages toward the rich smell of roasted pig, apple-stuffed pies and peach pies, cakes and sirloins of honeyed venison adrip with buttery garlic sauce. And here, the October feast with all the townsfolk gathered at the house of the Van Tassels. Here we find our characters as dusk begins to fall around the lit fires, as the wine comes out in casks, as their friend, the schoolmaster Ichabod Crane, takes his seat next to them and next to the young inheritor of this household, Katrina Van Tassel, by the crackling flames. This is not a ghost story. Well, Fred, Katrina, says Ichabod, adjusting his spectacles, his thin, rakish body, tucking himself closer to the fire. What a marvelous occasion for libations as well. Would you like to share a drink with me?
Yuki. Good one, son. Good one.
So, as this character lifts up their glass, Jez, tell us about Clyde Bundy. What does this person look like? Sorry, that name. What does this person look like? What is their role within the town of Sleepy Hollow?
Well, Clyde's been in Sleepy Hollow for about 6 months. He's a newcomer to the town, and he's here to sort out some things, which unfortunately there's been some terrible murders happening of late. Some deaths, some terrible, terrible occasions. He's come straight from another town, not so far away, where there were lots of other murders. And he's followed the murderer here. Clyde Bundy is here to sort these things out. He's a constable. I'm going to rephrase that. Constable. And he's a cleric. He's here to kick some ass, take some names, and if occasionally some innocents get hurt along the way, well, that's their problem, isn't it?
Excellent. And now as we look over right next to this figure, this constable-like figure, we can see someone who seems to be almost in the constable's keeping, as if they're keeping them really close by. Brian, can you describe the captain?
So the captain likes to drink, I suppose. You could say that, you know, he's a great guy, and he likes to, you know, just, you know, be there, and it's great. So the captain kind of washed ashore a little while ago. People kind of kept out of his way, but he's an entertaining sort. He's, you know, just goes around, bit like a vagabond, you know, does a few little dances in the taverns, you know, goes around and, you know, screams at, you know, things that aren't there. He's really, really just the heart and soul of this community, and everyone humors him. And it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Please don't leave me.
Yeah, please don't leave me. Right next to the figure of the captain, this poor soak of a man, we can see this other figure. And this figure is quite an imposingly large one. Michael, could you tell us about Three-Fingered Jack?
You see, Three-Fingered Jack. He's a lumberjack.
That's why his name's Jack. He's been around these parts for a long, long time. That's why he got 3 fingers, because he when he was a young lad, he wasn't the best lumberjack. But he was still a lumberjack. So nowadays, he's the source of firewood for most of the community. So now he is here to help anyone who tries to keep warm through them cold winter nights.
He likes cuddling the captain.
Certainly, Michael. I adore
I
this.
said anyone, didn't I?
Michael, you actually sound like you're undergoing gravitational collapse, and I'm here for it. Next to Three Finger Jack, right next to him is a more furtive figure, Jonesy. Lars, can you tell us about this character?
Well, Jonesy also likes to help people keep warm in the night. I mean, he's a nice fella. He's a ladies' man. He's always looking rather fetching with his clean-shaven pate and his freshly laundered white shirts that look so snug around his remarkable chest. Oh, but I mean, men like him too, but not in that way, you know. I mean, how could they not? He is the local barber, and he excels at making people feel at ease with his jovial manners and small talk and whatnot. There are the little things, of course, the tiny details that sometimes people remark upon, you know, just in passing, as it were. There's the way Jonesy likes to run his hands over his razor. Also, that signet ring he has that opens where Jonesy keeps his medicine, though he never looks outright ill. That's kind of weird. And then there's his passion for hair. However, people never look too closely because Jonesy's just so nice. And his glare can be a bit intense.
And right next to the barber, this interesting figure of the barber, comes Ezekiel. Kev, can you tell us about this character?
Ezekiel is a grave digger with very few words, preferring to keep company with the dead, as they're far more interesting. When you're ready for your final sleep, come and see me, and I will lay you nice and deep.
Hey, so Kev brought his A game, guys. Hello. So dusk is deepening above you. You can see a smattering of stars like a fistful of diamonds across the velvet black above you. The rustling of the trees from the nearby woods come to you, and it all seems terribly comfortable as the murmurings of Ichabod and Katrina next to you all as you drink seem to be of quite a tender and intimate nature. Katrina and Ichabod are getting on well, and Ichabod's hopes of becoming the new scion of the House of Van Tassel, this silly bandy-legged schoolmaster, he might actually have a future in this town, a good one, a prosperous one, but only if she loves him back, which she might. But wait, here comes, moving with a shamble of men towards you, comes the figure who is the direct physical opposite of Ichabod Crane. The figure is enormous, with a musculature that speaks to an embedded quality of the physique. He's a soldier, a fighter, a warrior, but more than that, this is a prankster, a jackanapes, and a cad. You've heard his gang, the Sleepy Hollow Boys, galumphing through the woods at night, keeping people up and getting up to all sorts. Their leader smiles a wide lupine grin. "My friends," he says, for his name is Brom Bones, "it is a pleasure to see you tonight. And I see you are in the company not just of the constable, Mr. Bundy, but with the lovely Miss Van Tassel, my lady." He offers his hand. "Brom, I'm so glad you could come." "Yes, I was glad I could come too." You see Ichabod's face tighten with resentment. as Katrina looks up with wide, dazzled eyes at the athletic physique and the clever charm of Brom Bones. We were wondering, myself and the Sleepy Hollow boys, if we might share a piece of your fire and the good lady's company. I'm not sure that there's room, says Ichabod. There is always room for us. He sidles in between you. The Sleepy Hollow boys take up standing positions nearby, forming a half moon of muscular men around their leader. And Brom says, always room for company, too, in these troubled times. You have heard about the spate of murders. Does well to keep a close eye on one's fellows. He gives a big grin to Jonesy the barber, especially those so well equipped. And indeed, this night, a night when the living cross over to the dead. Ichabod adjusts his spectacles once more, actually steaming with the fire. He takes them off, wipes them, puts them on. The glasses steam up instantly again. October Festival has connotations with Hallows Eve, a night when the dead cross over to the living. Right, says Brom Bones. Right. Ghost stories. I love ghost stories. And I think I also do, says Katrina Van Tassel, a look of dazzlement like bursting behind her eyes. I know, Katrina. I'm sure my friends do too, says Brom Bones. Why don't we go around our merry circle here? Tell some ghost stories. Entertain the lady. She looks at all of you and says, won't you? Won't you? That would be wonderful. And Ichabod, he's gone behind his own eyes now, his eyes darting rapidly as he thinks. But we're going to go from player to player. And there's going to be some benefits depending on how well you can tell a ghost story, my friends. Sorry to ambush you with these, but I have trust in your improvisatory abilities. Let's start with Three-Fingered Jack.
You all want a ghost story, do you? Well, I got a story for you. But it ain't a story so much as it is a tale of truth. Now, I know all of you around here ain't been here as long as I have. But a long time ago, y'all, there was Hessians. And the Hessians, they didn't like the Quakers. Quakers had a village here before our village was here. And the Quakers had a little village here, about 100 or so people. And the Hessians came through, and they killed them all. And when they killed all of them, they dug a big, deep grave. And they pushed all them bodies in there. They didn't give one of them their last rites the way they're supposed to. Ezekiel can tell you about how important them last rites is. Making sure them dead stay quiet at night. Especially in an October night like tonight. So when them dead, they ain't sleep. They ain't sleep right. And when we came, and we started chopping down them trees, and we was chopping down these trees to build our houses and build our walls, bones started rising from the dirt. And you hear at night the voices of the dead crying out for you. The whisperings at your windows, asking for you, asking for help, saying the Hessians is coming, saying they want you to come outside and save them. All they want is to be laid to rest the right way. But can't none of us put their bodies to rest because their bones is all mixed up out here.
So Michael, go ahead and for Three Finger Jack, roll a performance check, and I'm going to give you advantage for that. You take 2 d20s and take the higher.
17. 15.
And do you get a plus to performance?
You gotta give me a second because I gotta read words here.
In fact, I have a pretty good idea of your character sheet, my friend. So here's the thing.
+3.
Yes, and with
That's
that,
20.
you watch as Katrina Van Tossen stakes out and grabs Ichabod's as you're telling this story. Michael Head, take 10 temporary hit points for Three Finger Jack. Oh no, actually, I'm going to instead use some of these rolls that we've gotten into the chat. So I'm going to choose. Yeah, let's go from JD. You take 10 temporary hit points for that. Nicely done. And thank you, JD, for those hit points for Michael. Now, Bram Bones says, "Splendid." Now, Jonesy.
I have to admit, this is rather difficult for me. I don't really follow ghost stories like that, but I did have a story that was told to me by a client the other day. She was a lovely lass. She was one of the poor ones, you know, the immigrants that come across sometimes that have just started out here, haven't really built their place yet. She was a scrawny thing with her hair all tousled and poor as well. But you know me, I never let people go away. But she told me this story. She told me that she had come to this place in order to build something for herself, her and her 3 kids. And of course, I worked with her hair, and it was somewhat horrible. As I massaged her scalp, some of her hair would come away. It was, I think there was some sickness there. But she told me the story of how she had actually met you, Bo. And you had told her that you would help her on her path. Then she was going to become something. I mean, she was a pretty lass beneath all the dirt and all the lack of food. But it was hard for her. I could see she was supporting an entire family. But we chatted for a bit on and off. And then she told me this. She said, "I am going to tell you the true story of a murder in this place." Then I turned around and I tossed out the bathwater, and I wanted to actually start cutting her hair. She was gone. In her place lay a leather pouch with a couple of dirty, blood-spattered silver pieces. And you know, when I investigated later, because I talk to people, you know I like to talk to people, I heard somebody like her did arrive. And she did jump around and play with you boys a bit, and she was never heard of again. And I never found anything but water on that seat. Isn't that weird? But of course I don't do ghost stories.
As the fire crackles and as you conclude with the fact that you don't do ghost stories, there's a moment of silence as the Sleepy Hollow boys look towards Bram, who's quiet and looking at you. That was a good one. I liked it. Go ahead and roll performance, my friend. Do so with advantage. As Bram Bo.
17 and a 19. Yes, please.
Oh, wow.
So that is, I have a +1, and I have my proficiency in persuasion too.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, you said performance. Sorry. So 20.
20 for this. From Kristen, thank you so much, Kristen. You get 12 temporary hit points. Here's the thing. As Bram laughs to himself, slapping his mighty knees with lusty enjoyment, the Sleepy Hollow boys then break out in grins only when he laughs. They have a reputation, these men. and Jonesy has just thrust a finger of accusation towards it. But as that's rippling through them, and as Katrina and Ichabod look on, let's go to Ezekiel Shalatoon. Oh, the grave digger. This'll be good, says Brom.
You
Jonesy,
people make me
you and me will be having a chat later. So.
laugh. You make me laugh. Ghost stories. You're surrounded by ghosts right now. Can you not see them? I can see all of your sins stretching out into the past. I can see the girl you're talking about, Jonesy. I know what you did.
Kev, is that you? That is incredible. Or do you want to go on, or is that all Ezekiel says?
That is all.
Kev, I no bullshit. I actually think that earns advantage itself just for the sheer power of its brevity. Would you roll with advantage, please?
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, Kev is crushing this.
I hate this game.
I can't wait to play drunk like we
16.
normally do.
Sorry, was that 18, Kev?
I'm trying.
16.
16. And for
Yes.
you, that is actually a success in this case. So let me go randomly through these. Oh, Ezekiel from KT. Thank you so much for your comment, KT. 14 temporary hit points.
Thank you, Katie. They will be well used.
I actually imagine that Ezekiel says that, and like there's a coldness in the air for a second, as one of the ghosts, and as if a ghostly presence. As Brom says, right. Let's hear from the constable himself, Mr. Bundy.
Well, we'll be talking later on, I think, considering all the little hints that have come out tonight, in a more official capacity, perhaps.
A fun joke, Bundy, but please tell your story, he says impatiently.
Well, not that long ago, little village, not that far from here. When I was learning, I was starting out as constable. There was a highwayman. He was a young lad, you know, he was pretty busy. There was more and more would turn up. At first it was, lesser things. A little bit of intimidation. A little bit of threatening. A few things that go missing. These things that happen. When a community grows, you understand it. You see the way these things happen. And as a constable, you get used to this. You put up with it. Occasionally you have to beat somebody bloody to make sure they learn the lesson, but you accept this. Well, we couldn't catch this one. We couldn't find him. He was too fast. And a very nice horse. Great big black bugger it was. All these little shiny shit all over it. Well, one night, he makes a mistake. Kills a man. And when he killed that man, he left his boy behind. Took all the gold, took the silver, took the copper even, and left the bloody boy behind. That boy, he's not quite right in the head, but he's a nice child. He learns. Local blacksmith takes him in, which was good of him, because none of us had time. And he starts helping, starts shoeing the horses, helping carrying stuff around the forge. Then one night, a young man comes in with a horse to shoe. Now, our young lad, he's not been seeing this horse because he usually finishes early. But there he is, late one night, behind in his chores, and he's made to stay back. Sees this horse come in. The blacksmith shoos him aside and says, "Don't you worry, son. I'll take care of this one." That little lad, he watches the horse, and he thinks, that horse is familiar. We don't see many horses like that. Too big, too strong, too fucking shiny. So he has a little watch of it, has a little think of it. And then he comes and he tells me. He's recognised this horse, you see. So I I'm a bit busy at the time, but I go across and I have a little look. Yeah. It's a very nice horse. It's a very well-kept horse. He's got some saddlebags full of interesting things, it turns out. So I have a little word with the blacksmith. Quite a few words, in fact. And the blacksmith admits that this horse comes in on a very regular basis, kept very well maintained, and he's well paid to keep everybody else away from it, and to never mention when it comes in. So we have a little discussion. A few words are exchanged. A few bones are broken. And then finally, the blacksmith agrees, and I hide the rest of my men around the blacksmith's forge. Well, that young man comes back to pick up his horse later that night. We step out and we catch him. Our wonderful little highwayman, Robert Haswell. We string that fucker up by the balls, and as he dies, he curses the blacksmith for abandoning him, for betraying him. And he says, "I'll never forgive you for this, Dad." Well, a couple of days later, everything's calmed down, all's well. Our little lad, he's getting well looked after now. Blacksmith's getting a bit of a bad reputation in the area, and he's found he doesn't have many friends anymore. So I go around to have a word with him one night. Brushes me off. Time goes on. His whole career's fallen apart. Nobody wants to work with a blacksmith that we know has been preying on his all, helping his son to prey on his all. A year later, a year to the date that we caught that lad, Robert, we find the blacksmith, hung up in his own forge, by his bollocks. Might not be a good ghost story to the rest of you, but scared the living shit out of me.
And me, says Katrina. And what a wonderful feeling it is to be frightened on a night as beautiful as this. It makes me feel all of these things so much more sharply. The atmosphere of my father's estate. Isn't that right, Ichabod? Yes, he says absently, his voice not fully present, nor are his eyes. Yes. Yes. Well, I think we've saved the best for last.
Fuck you all.
The self-drunk. Well, Captain, top those.
So, I'm so jealous of all of your amazing stories, your history, how all your parents moved here, your families. It's all just so wonderful. I loved hearing them. I don't have those incredible stories. I have just one. It was a sober time. Stalwart, one might say. It starts with a dream, with a voyage, the mighty embrace. Ironic now that you think about it, but the mighty embrace, splendid vessel, splendid, embarking on the longest journey you could even imagine, from distant shores, with eager souls. Souls is probably a little too on the nose for this, but people that had real dreams and hopes of greener pastures, like this quaint little hamlet. I'm sure they would have loved it if they made it. And not everyone on the mighty embrace was really deemed worthy by, I daren't say the names, but they weren't deemed worthy by them. Those very things turned that mighty embrace into what I consider the phantom embrace. Everyone on board that vessel vanished before reaching their destination. The ship itself disappearing into some form of abyss, sealing their souls. There we are. There's the souls. Sealing their souls to eternal torment. Well, at least that's what I was told. Well, how do I know this? Because only the captain endured. Now, some whisper, ever so slightly, that he made a deal with those things. He made a deal. And was it the cost, his sanity? Was it the emotion? Was it anything at all? But he traded the lives of the crew and the passengers to spare his own. And now guilt, shadows. Oh, there's another word. Shadows. Guilt shadows his every step, a ceaseless pursuit of redemption, and the fear he's fated to take the lives of everyone he comes across. So as I said, I don't really have that many stories, but hope you have a great night.
At this point, let's get Clyde, Bundy, and the captain to roll your performance checks, and both of you can take advantage as well. Then I will, depending on how well you roll, we will see how many temporary hit points you both gain.
You lost me there for a bit there, Captain, but god damn, that was good.
What was good? That was a 19 and a 6.
19
I'll be
is
taking the
Oh,
natural 20.
that will work.
and plus 1 for performance, so I'm a 20 as well.
Perfect. So for,
See, my second one was a 4, so I'm going to take that 20.
yeah, exactly. So for for the captain, you're going to get from Dimmy. Thank you for the comment, Dimmy. Getting 8 temporary hit points.
Wow, other people got 12, so get fucked, Timmy.
And for your natural 20, Jez, let's combine. I was about to say let's combine 2. Let's combine 3. So this is from Emmanuel, from Richie, and from Kyle, who rolled 9, 2, and 8 for a total of 19 temporary hit points.
Thank you, gents.
Okay.
I appreciate that.
As this is happening, true night has fallen, and the stars twinkle coldly over these ghostly stories. And as they play out, Katrina von Tassel sits rapt. Ichabod's eyes distant. Brom Bones is smiling the most enormous lupine smile. A smile that cracks and falls from his face as you all hear, quite quietly, Ichabod's voice say, "There was the night I outpaced the Hessian." You watch as some eyes flicker towards Three-Fingered Jack, who mentioned the Hessian force, the militaristic force. You watch as Three-Fingered Jack sticks his cigar back in his mouth and looks at this preceding speech through a haze of blue smoke in the dark. Ichabod says, "I could, please." You see Katrina lean towards him. "You have one, Ichabod? Please tell it." "Well, Katrina, my friends, there was a night when I was taking my ease, as I want to do upon my steed, Gunpowder. Gunpowder is a very humble nag, but a very, what's the word? Loyal. Thank you, my dear. Loyal, a loyal beast, as shall soon be proven. Of course, you have all heard of that tale that suppurates here through our town's culture and history, ever since the destruction of the Quakers and the fundamental conflict that destroyed the Hessian force. I'm sure our friend Three-Fingered Jack could speak to those events. Of course, he could also speak, he says, adjusting his steamed glasses, to the figure who rose from that final conflict and got upon his steed, whose very rib cage had burst with the sheer amount of poisonous vapor it had inhaled during the battle, whose bones stood as a ragged caricature of life. A figure strode atop that horse who carried in his hand his own head, severed and slolling from left to right as a pendulum in a grandfather clock, the mouth stretched in a silent scream. I tell you of this figure, this headless horseman, because on that night upon Gunpowder's back, where I took my ease, sampling the smell of the katydids as I walked by, I did behold that headless horseman. 'Twas a night much like this, only recent, when September was beginning to turn from August's warm face. There was an explosion of sound, a sound that seemed almost physical to push through me in cold droves of gusty gale. And in that moment, when I turned and regarded the Hessian, he labored forth with his stirrups and brought forth his head to look upon me with eyes white with cataracts and a crawl with maggots that seemed to drip from him as peach from this slice of pie. He washes it down. The Hessian took forth, gave his horse his stirrups, and therefore it launched forth with his spurs. I ran as quickly as I could, leapt atop Gunpowder once more, and broke neck into the woods. I led him a merry chase before the end, before taking the Cotter's Bridge, whereupon it seemed that closeness, the proximity to our church here in Sleepy Hollow, did force a kind of banishment upon the creature. He wheeled and cartwheeled, his hooves flaming brightly, leaving their horseshoe imprints in flame upon the very soil. And yet he could not follow. Ichabod Crane, he cried, not from his maggot-drenched lips, but from the very stump which seemed to boil with rot and evil. Ichabod Crane, thou art damned. Well, I thought otherwise of being on the other side of the bridge, and of course I headed for the church at once, whereupon I did find Jonesy, who seemed to be using the basin of the church to wash his implements, some sort of a red substance. I assumed it was perhaps from a tomato of some sort, or perhaps cherries he had been cutting, but he was washing clean his tools of implement.
Hair dye, my friend, hair dye.
Hair dye. Thank you, Jonesy, for the kind reminder. But there is my ghost story, my encounter with the Headless Horseman. It's a damned lie, says Brom Bones. I believe my friends here. I believe Bundy, the captain, Jack, Jonesy, and Ezekiel, even small-spoken Ezekiel. But Ichabod Crane, you're a liar.
Oh no, I saw him. He looked spooked. He looked like something supernatural indeed had happened to him. And he looked, in fact, a bit scared, like your friend there did just a while ago.
You watch as Brom cracks his knuckles, looking at the way that Katrina von Tassel is looking at Ichabod Crane and says, "We'll see how you run." You watch as Ichabod, realizing what's about to happen, begins to break with bandy-legged strides towards the woods. All of the Sleepy Hollow boys, led by Brom Bones, take off in hot pursuit. Gang, we're going to close out this session with a skill challenge from each of you. Take a little look at the skills on your sheet, and we're going to talk about how you use those skills. Pick one, and then we'll go as fast as we can to finish on time, first of all, but also to set up getting to Ichabod Crane before Brom Bones in the Sleepy Hollow woods. Let's go. Who's got an idea? Has anyone got an idea of how you can use those skills to make it before Brom Bones does?
Well, I'm going to use my Copper's Insight because I've already been checking out the area. I know what's going on around here. I know the lay of the land, and I'm going to use that insight.
Okay.
To get me there.
just so the folks know who are watching, a skill challenge, you need, in this case, it's not too difficult. You need 5 successes. And if you get 3 failures, you'll arrive after Brom Bones and the damage will have been done. I've also got a whole list of dice rolls here in front of me from the comments, so this will be great. You're going to use insight from your copper stuff, so Clyde, you can take that roll.
18. I'll be taking that, considering I've got a +7.
That's
my
so,
wisdom.
That's
So I'll be
very
taking the
good.
25.
Yes, I'm sure you would love your 25, but however, we do have.
Shit.
Oh, brilliant! We actually have from Sean. Thank you so much, Sean. A 2. You watch as the copper's insight seems to leave you in total. This is a little time for later when these dice rolls will come in handy in combat. Your insight fails you at the moment of crucial climax, and as you look around attempting to gauge that, your enemies have made advance. You have lost progress, my friend. I am sorry. Let's jump into someone else.
I would like to stealthily go in behind them, as in like being like, one of us. They won't even notice.
Okay, go ahead and make a stealth roll. Let's be
That
swift.
is a 9 plus a 7.
Oh, interesting. Was there any particular? Does that roll satisfy you, or would you like to take a different one from the chat?
I will take a different one from the chat. Also, just to add flavor, in Clyde's moment of indecision, I would like to use his shoulder blade to vault to get a head start.
Motherfucker.
What you got, Brian?
Sorry. Do I get to pick from
Yeah.
them?
Oh yeah.
Oh God, I'll take Paul's.
Oh, that's a 19.
Yeah, I'll take the 19.
Well, with your bonuses, that's going to count as 2 successes. Thank you, Paul. So you start leaping off the shoulder. You're able to
Swan dive with a pirouette, turning in midair, being like, drunken master.
The Sleepy Hollow boys are utterly confounded both by the noise that Clyde Bundy makes in response to all this and the actual event itself, including the pirouette. Nice touch. Let's go for someone else now.
Now, is this a saving throw or a skills throw?
It's a skill. It's a skill.
All right, so I'm only using my athletics because I'm such an athletic person. I'm gonna charge straight through these boys.
Make your athletics check, you legend. Let's keep it fast, guys.
All right,
We got this.
I got a 17
17.
plus 4.
Oh, 21 as you barrel through the Sleepy Hollow boys, knocking them aside like bowling pins. You managed to make incredible progress for your group. Nicely done. That's 3 successes, only 1 failure. Lars or Kev, jump in.
I would like to take a deep sniff of the contents of my signet ring and laugh maniacally because everything is so interesting. At the same time, I'll take a bottle of wine from the table and I'll toss it right underneath the feet of Bo.
Can you give that
With-
maniacal
with
laugh,
us.
please?
Oh no, I can't. With a sleight of hand.
Let's keep it going because I think we have less than 2 minutes. So let's roll.
That's a 16 plus a 6, so 22.
22 is an incredible roll. Jonesy sends this forward with the sleight of hand. It manages to impact perfectly as you had intended, toppling and toppling, rolling over, and then shattering in a great splash of liquid. Does that? Yes, perfect. So that is 4 successes. So we only need 1 more. Ezekiel, Kev, you got this.
Using my shovel to clear the path, I use my indomitable athletics
Okay,
to
perfect.
race after.
Yeah, perfect. Let's go ahead and make it that athletics roll. This is going to be the last roll of
17,
17 plus athletics
3,
for
so that
20.
would be 20.
20 is, just checking my notes here. 20 is what you need. Ezekiel, at this point, with the final check, you slam forward with the shovel blade itself, the Sleepy Hollow boys knocking into Bram Bones himself as the woods encompasses all of your visions, as you stumble over the thick, gnarled roots in pursuit of Ichabod to keep him safe, as Bram Bones and the others are hot on your tail, and as the woods begin to change and transmogrify with the presence of the creeping October moonlight. That is where we will leave part 1 of this session. Tune in later at 3:05 EDT, gang, where we will see the conclusion of this storyline. Thank you to the players.
Thank you, dude.
Thank you all.
Thanks for watching.
Well done, Jack, man.
Thanks, folks.
Oh yeah.
That's so hot.
Part two.
Oh
And
yeah.
Oh,
A lot right now.